How's it going, everyone? It's Caleb Lomity here, and today we are going to be talking about a first-person shooter on the PC, and that first-person shooter is Zombeer. Zombeer is a comedy first-person shooter that is set in a zombie-infested world where you play as a character who's been bit by a zombie, and the only way to contain himself from turning into a zombie is to drink something called Zombeer. But if you drink too much Zombeer, your Zombeer meter will go too high, and your character will actually die. But if you don't drink it in time, then you will actually start turning into a zombie. So you get, I guess, a little bit of a gameplay mechanic going on there that is definitely different from a lot of other video games, and I haven't quite seen anything quite like that before. And at least they tried something different. This game is not a very expensive game. I picked it up for $2 on sale. It usually is only $5, so it's not an expensive game. So whenever you play a game like this, especially when it's this cheap, it's always something that I keep in mind in my reviews, because this game isn't great, but for $2, it's also not terrible. I think that this game is just kind of okay. It's somewhere in between, bad and good. It's not the worst thing I've ever played. It's acceptable. It has some good things going for it. It has a lot of bad things going for it. It has a lot of things holding it back. One of the things that I really do like about this game, though, is the art style. I think the art style is probably the thing that sticks out most about this game, because it is very in-your-face about its art style. It's unapologetic, it just throws everything right at you, and it's just like, this is what this game is, love it or hate it. And I like that approach. I think that it's pretty cool, and honestly, the art style is really good. The music that they chose for this game is also really good. Everything about this game in terms of the style of it, I like, but the actual, what starts holding this game back really starts becoming its controls and its dialogue. While the art style looks good, while the music's good and stuff like that, the dialogue for this game, it just doesn't really work. It throws a lot of jokes at you, and I never found myself laughing at any of the jokes in this game. I just didn't really find it funny. It's just a guy, making a lot of pop culture references, and it wasn't my thing. It's not my type of humor. It just didn't work for me. There's a lot of references to movies and stuff. Like, you'll find, references to Saw. You'll find references to the Xenomorphs and Alien. You'll find references to Skyrim. You'll find references to all sorts of different things. But a lot of them feel kind of out of place. They don't feel like they quite fit in there. The only Easter egg that I really thought was kind of funny was the Simpsons one. There's a Simpsons Easter egg where you see a chalkboard from like the beginning of the Simpsons episodes, where Bart's usually writing, whatever he's supposed to be writing, and it said, "I will not eat brains," over and over and over and over again, and then at the end, it looks like how Bart does when he runs out of the classroom. So I thought that one was kind of funny, but the rest of them, they threw a lot at the wall, and I feel like they threw a bit too much at the wall, hoping something would stick, and none of it really did. But this game, again, it's not an expensive game, and it's not terrible either. The actual controller input, I tried playing this with a controller, and it feels really clunky with controller. However, when I swapped over to mouse and keyboard, I noticed that it played a lot better. It felt a lot more smooth, and I had a lot less problems with all of the controls altogether. The only problem I ever had with the controls once I swapped over to mouse and keyboard, and this is actually a problem I had on the regular controller as well, is that there's QuickTime events in this game, and it will tell you the wrong button to push. And that is frustrating. There was one point where it was telling me to press I over and over and over again, so I pressed I, and it would not work no matter what I did, and I couldn't figure out what was wrong, so I started pressing every letter on my keyboard that could possibly look like an I. So I was just like, oh, maybe it's a lowercase L. Pressed L. Doesn't work. I pressed 1 over and over and over again, and that didn't work. So I was just like, okay, I don't know what to do. And I finally looked it up, and someone was just like, oh, it's actually D. You have to press D when it says press I. It's just like, okay, really? Like, that's just left in the game there? But yeah, I guess they just decided to leave that in the game. Not a great thing to do. So things like that definitely are irritating and hold this game back for me. However, if you can forgive it and you realize that this is only a $2 game, it may not bother you too much. Like, that's why I keep telling myself whenever I start thinking about this game. I'm just like, this isn't a $60 video game. It should have been better than it is. It definitely should have been more polished. But at the same time, I know that this isn't a AAA video game. It's just a, first-person shooter indie game that is very kind of like raunchy and jokey, and that's all it really is. And this game has actually gotten quite a bit of a cult following because of the way it is, because this game definitely is not politically correct, and a lot of people want games like this these days, especially with the art style. The art style is fantastic in this game, and a lot of people see it and they're just like, oh, this is something I want to play. They're tired of playing things that feel like they're super sanitized, and they feel like they're, super just watered down. They want something that feels risky, and this game feels risky. It feels different. It does things that you don't see in a lot of video games anymore, and I think that that's one of the biggest reasons it has a following, is just because it's unapologetic about what it is. It knows it's kind of a trashy video game, but that's kind of what it excels at. A lot of people want a sequel to Zombeer. I don't think that's ever going to happen. Even in the actual game, when you're playing through it, you can find a lot of computers in, just random areas throughout the game. And when you look at the computer screens, it will say Zombeer 2 on it, like they were hinting that there was going to be a sequel. You can even find, like, game creator commentary where they talk about, a potential sequel and stuff like that. And it's just like, they definitely put the cart before the horse. I don't think we're ever going to see a sequel to this game. If they do make one, I will play it because I do like this game. Even though this game is just kind of okay, my personal feelings towards the game are actually pretty positive. I do enjoy the game. I think it's fun despite its issues. I like the ideas that it had. I like the enemy designs. I like the different types of enemies there is. I like the art style. I like the music. The music's really good. I like the majority of the weapons, except for the melee weapon. That one, I'm not a big fan of that one, but the rest of them, I think actually are pretty cool looking, and they work pretty well. There's things about this game that I like, and I could see myself going back every Halloween and playing through this again. It is the type of game where I could be like, okay, you know what, this is a Halloween game. This is something I could play every Halloween, and it'd be fun to do that. So, I don't hate this game. I actually like it quite a bit. It's not perfect at all. It's definitely not perfect in terms of its actual quality. I'd say that it's just okay, but in terms of its charm, I think it has a lot of charm. And I like what it has done. I would like to see a sequel also. I don't think that's ever going to happen, but if it did, that would be pretty cool. But overall, that's going to be my review for Zombeer. I like the game a lot. In terms of the actual quality of the game, though, I would say it's probably just okay. It's a $5 video game. It's kind of hard to recommend it to people because of what this game is and kind of how, like, niche this game is. This doesn't have a wide audience appeal. This isn't something that's going to appeal to everyone. But if you are wanting something that is unapologetic about what it is, if you're wanting something that is completely different than any other first-person shooter that has come out, and you're just kind of tired of everything else, and you want something that is truly different, maybe give this game a shot. It's usually $5. If you don't want to take the risk at $5, wait for it to go on sale, like I did, and get it for, I got it for $2. So wait for a sale if you need to. But I think that this game is worth giving a shot if you are just kind of tired of the regular kind of copy and paste first-person shooters that come out every year. So there we go. But thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, hit the like button and subscribe button down below. And I'll talk to you in the next video. You have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.